All right, the next step in the recording process, as you'll note, this area here, which is where the spike traces will be, is blank. As well as in the third panel, there's nothing where the probe representation should be. Before you can start streaming data, you have to choose a probe from this drop-down menu to represent the probe that you're recording with. As I've mentioned before, in this experiment, we're using a probe with 4 shanks and 8 sites along each shank. And you see, once a probe is chosen here, the spike traces show up here, and that's when you're really ready to record. When you own a SmartBox and NeuroNexus probes, any NeuroNexus probe that you use in an experiment should be found in this drop box. And if it is not found, or if you're using a custom probe, or if you buy a new probe type that you didn't have before, simply contact us and we'll make that map available and put it into the drop down so that you'll always be able to find the NeuroNexus probe of your choice when you're doing your experiments. And this mapping that is displayed here will incorporate all of the different maps that you need to keep track of for your recordings. That means your site map, your connector package map, where those sites translate to the connector. If you're using an adapter, it would also be represented here, such that while you're doing your recordings, you don't have to worry about any of those maps. The site that you choose on here should correspond directly with the location of the physical location of that site on the probe that you're recording with. And just for example purposes, let's take a look at a few of the other configurations, some of the configurations of different probes that might be available. We see here something interesting. You note that the probe that I chosen as drop down is an A8x8, so it's a 64 channel probe. However, over here in our status, remember that I'm only using a 32 channel probe in this experiment. I'm only using a SmartLink 32 head stage connected into this port. So by choosing a 64 channel probe, the system lets us know that there is an error and that we chose a probe that could not possibly be correct. However, any of the 32 channel options available, such as this surface grid, the system would allow as legal even if it's not the actual probe being used. So you as the user would want to make sure that you choose the actual probe that corresponds with what you're using. And as I mentioned here, we're using this 4x8 probe.